Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Truth Shots with Kapil. In this particular episode, I sit down with a man who proves you can be way more than your job title. Kaushik Mitra, Vice President and CFO of PepsiCo India and South Asia. 30 years, multiple industries, a career that has taken him from Kolkata to Hong Kong, from Dubai to Vietnam. He's led billion-dollar businesses, pushed diversity in boardrooms, authored fiction novels, and even built his own music channel. We'll talk in more detail about some of this as we go on. His new book, The Career Edge, isn't just talking about quick hacks or overnight success. It's about what really happens when you roll up your sleeves and you get things done. Welcome, Kaushik.
Thank you, Kapil. It's great to be on your show. And wow, what an introduction. I don't think I could have introduced myself better. Thank you very much.
So let's start. One interesting aspect that you talk about is employeeship and leadership. Can you tell us, in your eyes, what does good employeeship look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that is something that I've covered a little bit in detail. I mean, we have a lot of leadership material in books, in forums that people talk about. And professionals generally talk about different aspects of leadership. But I think 90% of employees in an organization have to do what they need to do every day, which is employeeship. And I believe a lot of the success of an organization also boils down to the quality of employeeship. So, what do I mean by employeeship? Let me kind of give you a feeling of some of the elements of good employeeship. I think the first thing is bringing your best self to work every day. And each one has a responsibility to do that. And what I mean by bringing your best self to work is bringing your head, your heart, and your hand to the job. Now, typically, your head and hand comes, otherwise, you won't be able to survive. But it's the heart which really makes the difference for you and the organization. And I think that's the core job of an employee, is to bring his or her best self to work. Are you passionate about what you're doing? How do you feel when you get up in the morning and come to work? You know, nothing can replace that.
Sure.
And it has a direct bearing on your impact and productivity in the workplace. The second aspect of employeeship is what I call acting like owners. You know, because typically, unless you are a sole proprietor organization or a family organization where you have a share in the business, you don't have that direct connect with the results of the business.
Sure.
And either benefit or lose from the results, right? So, how do you therefore create that connect? And I've always believed all through my career that, particularly in finance, for example, you have to be the representative of the shareholder.
Sure.
If there was a shareholder in the room, how would that person behave? What would that person say? And I think every employee has a responsibility to do that. And this is a little different from the boss is always right. Sometimes you have to remind yourself, who do you get your salary from? Your boss doesn't pay your salary.
Sure.
The company pays your salary.
Absolutely.
Who owns the company? Who are you representing here, right? So that's another aspect of good employeeship. The third aspect of good employeeship, I think, is, you know, being a good team member. Because there is a lot of onus on individualism, individual performance, individual brilliance. I think it's overrated. Because at the end of the day, if an organization has got to deliver results, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me, it is the collective team which delivers results. The organization wins as an organization. Imagine Sachin scoring a century, India losing, right?
Sure.
People remember India lost.
Absolutely.
The team loses. So, being a good team player, and when we look at people for promotions, etc., we also look at how good that person is in terms of team players. I've seen brilliant people not making it because they were too focused on their own self, right?
Yep.
And the last aspect, I would say, there are many other aspects. Maybe I'll touch upon the other important thing for me is what I really value as a professional is doing things the right way. In life, you'll always have a shortcut. Yeah, ridden with problems, ridden with conflicts, and you will have a ethical, right way of doing it. Maybe it's longer, maybe it's tougher. A good employee will always choose that path.
Sure.
There are no shortcuts to success.
Sure.
And therefore, you know, I have 10 tenets of good employeeship, which is there in the book. These are some of the ones that I think are very important.
Fantastic. In fact, when I was running my first startup, it was a digital marketing agency, and I had a 4-point criteria that I used to use for appraisals. And it was very well known, and I used to say the first criteria is the company's performance. If I'm not profitable, you can't be profitable.
Yeah.
The second criteria is the accounts that you are responsible for. The third criteria is the team that you are a part of. If there is anything that is remaining, yes, you will get some accolades for individual performance, but that kind of should cover it, and in that order.
Yeah.
Company first, accounts next, team next, and if there is something left, then maybe your individual performance is important. Don't come and tell me you did a wonderful job at a project that itself was not a success.
Yeah. No,
How good is that?
couldn't agree with you more. And people often forget that. Why are you in an organization?
Yep.
It's not it's not a place where you are developing yourself for a long-term career.
Yep.
And as soon as you get some skills, you move on to somewhere else.
In
We
fact-
forget that
Yep.
people want promotions, people want movements in 1 year's time, and I struggle with that because I think in a year's time you just learn the ropes.
Yep.
It's in the second day that you give back to the organization, right? So you have to keep the organization's perspective in mind.
Yep.
And that's difficult to internalize when you are young starting off, right? You realize that in middle management when you're leading teams.
There was an article that I just read 2 days back. It was about job hugging and how that's a very bad thing to do.
Job hugging, I have had, this is a new one.
Yeah, so job hugging is, they say, the millennials believe you cannot be in the same job for 3 years or more. It is called job hugging, and it is, bad for your
That's
career.
a new term I've learned. Nice one.
Anyway, so in your view, what separates a career from a job?
That's a great question. And look, I think if you think of an analogy, I think a job is more like a brick. You remember the song "A Brick in the Wall," and the career is really the wall that you want to build, or let's say a house that you want to stay in. And jobs tend to be, I've seen people do jobs which are not related to their careers. You may want to earn some money and do something which will help you accumulate money to do what you really want in terms of a career. Maybe you want to then invest back into your own development and education. So that's one aspect of separation between a job and a career. In my experience, what I've seen is that sometimes we forget the sequence of experiences that we need to get to build a career. And people tend to be focused on, okay, when do I move to my next job, which will give me a jump, which will give me a promotion, which will give me a salary increase, and I grab that job. And I keep reminding them that, look, we have to look at careers future back. What would you want to be in the long term? What are you good at? And back to that question of head, hand, and heart. Head and hand will allow you to do any job, right? But it's the heart which you'll have to stay with for a long time. So find your calling, find your passion, decide what you want to do. I mean, kids today, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, it's like we when I started, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot, crazy something like that, right? I mean, then somebody said, okay, no, I think that's a crazy dream. Do something else. So I meandered for a long time before I decided what I wanted to do. I wasn't in love with numbers. In fact, I was, I always loved words, and I always, my English marks were always higher than my maths. But I got stuck with a career in numbers. So you figure out along the way. My son started as wanting to be an engineer, and then is now doing computer science. He's a software engineer in the US. So people tend to figure out. A good friend of mine, one of the brightest students in boarding school with me, he went into engineering, and he went into a very hardcore engineering firm called M&S Store in Calcutta. And then he realized that's not his calling. It's a job. Gives him money, doesn't give him satisfaction, sense of purpose, fulfillment. And then he moved on to the creative side. And we had always told him when we were, in our childhood days, that he is a very creative guy. He should pursue his passion. And so he joined an ad agency, and that's where his career took him. Right? He's now he's a yoga instructor.
Oh, fantastic.
I think the key difference is look at the long term, not the short term.
Sure.
And success will be defined by the long term career that you want to build,
Mhm.
and you must really find your passion. A few people find the sweet spot of. I mean, I always envy cricketers, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure everybody wants
Mhm.
wants to play the game and earn money, but very few people get to do something
Sure.
like that, right? So take your time, do what you want to do, get the critical experiences,
Mhm.
but make the right choice in terms of
Mhm.
career. Link it back with your passion, link it back with the heart.
So, for a lot of people that I mentor, I created this concept of financially independent or career oriented. And I always ask people, decide where you are. There are people, and this is where I kind of have a problem when Mr. Murthy comes up and says everybody should do 80 hours a week. I'm not against that, by the way. Okay. But I always say, if you are career oriented, then every once in a while you need to put in that 80 hours a week, because that's what will help you grow in your career, or that's what you need to do to over and beyond everything, to grow, to acquire the right skills, to contribute, to make yourself known. If not, then say, accept that you are somebody who is financially independent. And financially independent means, I want to do a 9 to 5 job. I want to earn enough money that I can live my life well. I don't. So, and I guess in some ways that would probably be also be the difference between a job and a career.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, then the problem that and in most of my mentoring, this is what I tell people: if you are financially independent, then then please don't look at your career and say, why am I not growing at the rate and pace at which
Yeah.
others are growing?
Yeah.
Then just accept that. There are
Yeah.
people that have worked for me who would say, Kapil, I am financially independent
Yeah.
and I want to be that way.
Yeah.
I want to take my weekend trip.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care what you are planning. Please ensure I have my Saturday, Sunday off.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. But then just know that there is an implication. If somebody else is getting 25% raise, you may get 15% raise. Just be okay with that.
Yeah. Look, I think this philosophy is also changing with time. At our time, when we were growing up, when we were getting into jobs, it also depends on, as you said, the safety net.
Exactly.
And it changes from generation. I've seen it myself. I started from scratch with nothing, literally. Okay, so I didn't have a safety net, and therefore, the job was important for a livelihood,
Yep.
right? And then everything built from there. But when we tell our son, realities in terms of our life when we started with nothing, he says, "Come on, guys, that's your reality. Don't try to impose that on me."
Absolutely.
And so it's a choice that you are going to make. It depends on your personal situation. This is a very individual. I'll tell you 30 seconds, this very unique thing. I love music. So every time I go to the US, I pick up a guitar. My wife doesn't like that, but there's no space for guitars in our house anymore. So I'll have to, either I stay or the guitar stays. It's come to that. But so I go to this guitar center on Van Ness Avenue in San Francisco. And every time I meet this guy in the shop, and I really strike up a nice conversation with him, we've almost become, we exchange notes, etc. So he tells me, you know what, I'm doing this as a job. You're coming back after 6 months, you won't find me here. Why? Because I've now accumulated enough money. Now I'm going to travel the world.
Oh, fantastic.
Next time I go, the guy's not there. I say, where is Matt? He says, no, he's taken 6 months off.
So if you have to tell a 25-year-old something that he or she should unlearn, what would that be?
Yeah, I think this is something that you learn the hard way, and it's not easy. But I think the message that I would give is this myth of individual brilliance and individual performance is going to drive long-term success for you. It's total bogey. And in India, typically our education system basically is what? I mean, it's like, it's a process of filtration.
Yep.
Right? And think of all those people who were toppers in class. Not necessarily they are the ones who are going to do, succeed in life. Success of life is defined by something else, right?
Absolutely.
So what have I learned from what I studied? I mean, one can argue, but I would say English and maths, that's it.
Yep.
And the most important thing that I've learned is working with people.
Sure.
So focus on building resilience.
Yep.
Focus on communication. Focus on influencing others. Focus on adaptability. Focus on how you inspire others, how you help others,
Absolutely.
and focus on learning. And because individual brilliance after a point will be table stakes. Imagine the world of artificial intelligence. Imagine people with all these degrees and qualifications and knowledge. Wow, what's going to remain? It's going to be the right brain stuff. It's going to be the empathy that's going to remain. It's going to be the relationship that's going to remain.
Absolutely.
How will people remember each other and impact each other and influence each other? It's not going to be my knowledge. When we started as kids, it was like, you were looking for knowledge to your parents. Now you just have to, click a button and you have whatever you want, right? So my message to them would be, yes, your individual performance and brilliance is important, but that you already have. Focus on the rest of the stuff.
I always tell people, when you go to management school, there is a lot of focus on KRAs and R&Rs and, what's your job and what's not your job. I always tell people, forget that, and every once in a while, just do the most menial thing you could find. I'll give you an example. When I started my career, I was with IBM. So I was in the corporate headquarters in New York. And my boss came to me once and said, there is a strategy meeting that is happening over the next couple of days. And I was the youngest, and probably the most disposable in the group. And she said, here is a bundle of what the discussion that is going to happen in the strategy meeting, the kickstart of that. Make 15 copies for 15 people that are coming. Ensure they are laid out and, everything is set. And I felt very bad. I mean, I am an Indian.
I've been the copy boy also, don't worry.
Educated, I've done my bachelor's from Delhi College of Engineering. I've done my master's from North Carolina State, and you're asking me to do photocopying. Okay, anyway, I did that. Came to the room. I set up everything, and I was just there. And because I had done all this, and they knew if they have some question, they might have to ask me. So they asked me to sit in that particular meeting. And then when the big boss came, there was a discussion of who is going to put their screen on the projector. Now the problem is, whoever puts their screen on the projector for the next 3 days cannot do anything while the meeting is going on because your screen is stuck there. And I very gladly raised my hand. My screen was put in. It was probably the best learning experience of my career. The fact that my screen was up there in a meeting where I would not have been allowed to utter a word, I was now giving suggestions. Oh, you want the strategy to write like this? How about we say it this way? Everybody in the room, which was, reasonably senior people, everybody in the room before the end of the meeting knew me. They knew my ideas. They knew how I operate. And, the best learning, the best networking I got was being the photocopy guy.
You are so right. I mean, it's being there. It's just being there. Sometimes you need to be the fly on the wall. There is this concept of being the fly on the wall. I wish a lot of times,
absolutely,
you are the fly in the wall, and this point of learning, and maybe we'll touch upon it later. And that is such a powerful concept. This Japanese have a concept called soshin, which is a mind like a child. And that means that you've got to empty all the baggage that you keep accumulating.
Just keep absorbing.
And then create space for more learning and more knowledge, right? So, great. That's a great example.
So we've led teams across the globe, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, India. What did you learn about how to make diversity and inclusion real? That's a huge part of, being in a leadership role. So what have you learned about making it real, not just a policy?
That is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And, PepsiCo is a global company, and it's also a company where you really see both these aspects of diversity and inclusion play out. And I saw it firsthand when I went to the Middle East into a role where I had a team which was somebody from Lebanon, somebody from Turkey, somebody from Guatemala, somebody from Colombia, somebody from China, somebody from the UK, somebody from the Middle East, right? No Indians, by the way. So my way of working, my way of communicating, my way of directing, getting things done, just didn't work, fell flat. In the first, appraisal cycle, when I was having a one-on-one with one of my team members, she said, the way you communicate with me doesn't work for me. You have a lot of these thoughts. I appreciate the thoughts that you have, and you communicate it on the phone, and you do it quite frequently. Why don't you put all your thoughts on an email and send that to me? I learned a very important lesson. It's not about me and what I think is the right way to do things, but it's about how the other person sees it. And therefore, different strokes for different folks. It's like I realized in meetings, the Chinese person was very quiet. The Colombian person kept talking. It's a cultural thing.
Absolutely.
When if you go to Southeast Asia, and I worked in Southeast Asia, I can tell you, people have that deference.
Yep.
They are, it's the cultural thing. In a meeting, questions, very few people will ask questions, right? If there's a senior person in the room, people will not voice their.
People will not speak at all.
So I had to literally say, "Hey, Andrew, I think you've got a good thought. Why don't you come out?" And I say, "Hey, Mario, please stop. I think we've got what you're saying. Let Andrew come and speak." It's understanding the perspectives of individuals. So the real question in my mind when it comes to inclusion and diversity is, what difference does the difference make? And it's not about the team and the people that you're working with. It's really about yourself. So I would urge all leaders and all managers who manage teams and who manage diverse teams is to ask yourself that question. What difference does the difference make? And it is in your mind. And for me, I think it's a positive difference. There is absolutely no difference at all. Right? In fact, what I've seen over the years is that when you have a diverse team, you get a blended perspective, which is far more richer. Right? That mosaic is beautiful. So we used to serve in this role that I'm talking about, everything other than the US and Europe. Imagine the complexity, starting from China to Africa, and such a diverse team. In fact, after 3 months, I was, I was wondering and worrying, will I be able to do the job? Will I be able to deliver with such a diverse team, right? But that was a problem in my head.
Sure.
And then slowly, I realized, what difference does the difference make? It doesn't. It's up to me.
Yep. And I think the ability to be able to use the skill set that different people bring to the table in the same job, in the same activity, I think it just changes the game completely.
You have to harness the strength of every individual.
Absolutely.
And then I always believe that you got to create that one team spirit. That's very important. You got to create one team, one dream, one definition of winning together and celebrating success together. The other thing that has worked very well for me is, we often are too critical of ourselves. We often don't celebrate and we often don't compliment each other of those small things. And this is more in India, right? The argumentative Indian, the critical Indian, I'll add. Okay, we are too hard on ourselves and hard on our teams, right? Lighten up a little, right? Give people oxygen, not carbon dioxide.
So beyond gender, how do you increase inclusivity and what does it mean for you in a boardroom?
See, Kapil, I think it's a lot to do with trust and respect. Okay. And I think, like any relationship, right? I mean, these two kind of things are foundational. And I've worked with so many leaders in so many cultures, in so many markets. I've seen where the respect is high, the trust is high, things get done at the speed of trust. And doesn't matter how diverse it is, right? The second aspect is, I think we need to leave our ego at the door, particularly the leaders. And that's not easy to do, because, and I'll tell you a little bit of, maybe a little later in terms of my story in Vietnam. But we tend to impose our thoughts, our beliefs in every environment on our teams and situations, right? I remember I've done this, so I know what to do, right? And then we have blanked out everybody else's perspective. So being open to others' perspective, listening, I think, is more powerful than talking when it comes to leadership, when it comes to diversity, when it comes to creating that culture. The other powerful theme, I think, is vulnerability. I recently had a health issue, and my meetings would start with me asking people about, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Right? And first 5 minutes is more about understanding everybody's personal space and situation.
Sure.
right? I see today they ask me, how are you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
How's your health? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So nothing can be more powerful than that.
Sure.
And that creates that magic of, what you call, I would say in a corporate parlance, it's very difficult to use a term called love,
Mm-hmm.
because the employee and the organizations are not in love, right? It's a professional relationship. But if you can create that element of love and belonging, that's the ultimate magic sauce for both the organization's success and creating that winning culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all these aspects, irrespective of where you are in the world, works. I've seen it work in the Middle East. I've seen it work in Southeast Asia, and in India. I think people say it's a tough market and it's very tough here, but it works here also.
Mm-hmm.
So we must recognize others' perspectives.
Sure.
We must have an open mind. My way or the highway style of leadership is those days are gone, and particularly with the generation shifts, I see the younger generation and the newer generation smarter than you are with artificial intelligence and data availability in fingertips. Knowledge no longer is a power.
Mm-hmm.
So the boss and the senior guy does not necessarily have the. So what do you have? You have authority and chair,
Sure.
but you can't do everything yourself.
Absolutely.
Your job is to give oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
and your job is to trust. Your job is to empower.
Yep.
All these are powerful elements of building a, inclusive culture.
Yep.
It's about feeling at the end of the day.
Yep. In fact, I used to tell my middle management always, your job is to make yourself replaceable.
Yeah.
The day you make yourself replaceable without having to worry about, oh my God, my job security and all that, the day you make yourself replaceable is the day you will move to the next level. It's not the day you will be out of your job, it's the day you will move to the next level. Till you are not replaceable, what do I do with you?
Yeah.
Continue to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I read the book, of course, read about 6 elements of inspirational leadership. Can you break that down for our audience?
Yeah. I mean, without going into too much detail, I think execution is all about what I call the 6 Ds, and there may be more, but this is my version of what it takes. The first D is about drive for results, and being in a company which really personifies performance orientation.
Mm-hmm.
And 24 years in PepsiCo is like 3 times of that. It's like a century everywhere, anywhere else. I can say that I have kind of teased out the nuggets of that drive for results. There are many aspects: target setting, performance management, but I would say the most important thing for me is what I call perform to potential.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, are you setting your sights high or not? Right. It all starts with that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you set your sights high, you may not reach that high target, but you will get somewhere closer to it compared to setting your target low.
Sure.
So going that extra mile, I think is a very, very important aspect of drive for results. Because to fulfill your potential, if we believe that our ultimate goal in professional life is to fulfill our potential, we have to keep pushing the bar up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this nice example of Sergey Bubka, who he was the famous pole vaulter, right?
Mm-hmm.
He broke his record, I think, some 18 or 19 times. Whereas Nadia Comaneci, the famous Romanian gymnast, she did a perfect 10 when the board didn't have 2 digits.
Yep.
Yeah, because all the scores were below that.
Mm-hmm.
So breaking the record 19 times is not the definition of perform to potential.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There was something else related to why that happened.
Yep.
But so that's and I've seen in the American culture, it's always about raising the bar and going for high targets, and then having a discussion of why you're not achieving it. I've also seen the other side with the Japanese, where the focus is on Gemba, where things are really going to be done, right? And there the discussion is about an aligned target.
Yeah.
So it's not just how high is high, but also can you do it? And then, so that for me is a drive for results. The second is decision making. I think that is a very, very important aspect in corporate life. the leaders are ultimately paid to take decisions. And I've seen many leaders dither. Either they're looking for 100% accuracy in data, or they're worried about whether decision is going to be right, what's the risk of a failure, etc.,
Avoiding
etc.
accountability.
The worst decisions are not taking a decision. You
Sure.
know, in my life, I've taken many decisions which have gone wrong. When I started, and I faced the same fear. Okay, what happens if things go wrong? But in life, shit happens, and that's going to happen for sure.
Absolutely.
So when in doubt, decide. Third is direction. Direction is basically like, you want to go to Chennai, you can't board a flight heading north,
Sure.
right? Assuming we are in Delhi, right? So it's more about strategy. It's about knowing what to do, not how well you're doing it. But the what to do element is so important.
Sure.
And the leaders have a job and a role. I mean, I heard this lecture by Matt Church about what the tribal chiefs of the past used to do. And they did three things. They greeted with intent. They lit the fire every day. Lit the fire is setting the context. And that is what strategy and direction is all about, right? And that's what you need to do every day, depending on what's happening in your world. The fourth is delegation. You can't do it on your own. Some leaders forget that. Okay, so it is about your team. So working on developing a team, ensuring that there are people who are more knowledgeable than you, right, on different subjects, I think is the job of a leader.
Sure.
And making sure you don't have that insecurity that somebody knows more than you is very, very important.
Yep.
So that the team output is better than yourself. Discipline, I think, is very important. When I went to a boarding school and I learned the discipline of staying with 400 kids, going for the ICSE exams, studying together, and the next day, private tutors, everybody doing their own thing, right? Getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, taking your meals on time, and that trigger. In life, I think today we are faced with so many things. Imagine the blur. Can you stay without your phone for 5 minutes? I find it difficult. So how do you focus? How do you manage your time? Simple things like emails. It can be a total guzzler of your energy.
Absolutely.
How do you plan your calendar? How do you create some space in your calendar to say thinking time?
Sure.
No meetings, right? We are in this blur and busyness of going from meeting to meeting, right? So discipline is important. How do you prioritize? How do you focus? And the last is, again, the most important one for me, doing things the right way.
Sure.
Right? And I spoke about it earlier. Ethics, values, integrity. 100% or nothing. So those are my 6 Ds of getting things done.
So how do you distinguish between leaders who inspire and leaders who demand work?
This is again a passionate topic for me, and I have worked with so many leaders. And there's this book by Liz Wiseman where she talks about multipliers and diminishers. And multipliers are those who believe that everybody has the ability to do things, and diminishers, on the other hand, believe that only they can do things, and otherwise, the rest of the team will not be able to perform. But you need to be a multiplier. You need to be somebody who needs to empower, who needs to trust, who needs to believe that your team can do it.
Sure.
Who needs to have the patience to let the team fail. Who needs to have the security to protect the team when the chips are down. And who needs to be able to give that oxygen and an inspiration to keep the momentum going. So in the last, I think I would say 10 years or so, or maybe a little less, maybe 7 years or so, my role has been playing the coach, playing the mentor.
Sure.
It's like you are in football terms, there is the game going on the field. You know the game, you know what's going wrong. You want to get onto the field and then start doing it yourself. And you have to hold yourself back.
Yep.
And give the team the space to do what they need to do. Learn from the mistakes.
Every once in a while,
Feel secure. Feel secure.
Absolutely.
Fail fast, move on. So the leader's job is to create that environment of trust, empowerment, emotional, psychological security. And that's what I call the oxygen chamber. You create that oxygen chamber where people are able to bring out their best. And that's what multipliers do. Compared to diminishers, who, on the other hand, will be breathing down your neck, telling you what to do. And imagine how that makes you feel, right? You feel not trusted.
Sure.
You feel somebody's falling up and breathing. It never gets the best out of me. In my experience, the people and the leaders who got the best out of me have been those who have trusted me, those who have given me the space, empowered me, allowed me to fail, helped me along the way, nudged me along the way, challenged me. But it really boils down to trust.
Sure. So, how does being resilient, how does it fit within sustaining performance in a very high pressure role?
I think resilience today is more important than brilliance. And I talked about this aspect of intelligence and the overarching, our overarching focus on intelligence and grades and marks and all that stuff. Overrated, completely overrated. Resilience eats brilliance for breakfast in today's VUCA world and particularly corporate world. My days are never as I plan. I have 10 things to do every day. I can't tick off maybe 3 or 4 of those things.
Sure.
Because something unplanned, unexpected comes along. How do you train your mind to not act like a victim every time some negative news comes? Very difficult, not easy. And therefore, resilience to me is something of a life skill. It's not even something that relates to work. I mean, think about your personal situation. The toughest challenges are family. The toughest challenges are health. The toughest challenges are, something happens in your personal space, somebody very near and dear to you. That's your toughest strength of resilience. Absolutely. Something happens to your kids, right? So, I would urge everybody to build resilience. And the way I define resilience is how do you look at things when it happens?
Sure.
Typically, you tend to feel like a victim. Why is this happening to me? Why couldn't it happen to somebody else? Why is it happening to my family? And then you move to a zone of reconciliation, right? And internalization. And then it takes some more time to get into a zone of what do I need to do about it?
Sure.
So how do you crash the first 2 phases and move to karna kya hai?
Sure.
It has happened. Move on. How do I handle, right? Coming to professional life is all about that. My life as CFO, I can tell you. I mean, things come to me when the shit has hit the ceiling, right?
And it will hit the ceiling.
Imagine
Absolutely.
if I don't have that resilience, I would feel like, oh God, what is this, right?
Absolutely.
So, I would urge everybody, please focus on resilience. Please focus on resilience. You're going to need plenty of that. There are going to be plenty of curved balls in your professional life. It's about your mental attitude, how you handle this and how do you come out of it quickly. And think of every situation as an opportunity rather than a situation where you're getting victimized. And that's going to be very, very important for your success.
So let's talk about your role as a CFO. And I guess of all the roles in an organization, the CFO role has gone through a whole bunch of changes. What do you think is the new CFO in a company?
Yeah, and there's a lot of discussion around this, Kapil. And for me, 2-3 things stand out. I think the big change which has happened for several years now is the role has shifted from what earlier used to be the custodian trustee role, somebody who does the numbers, somebody prepares the results, somebody gets the audit, etc. done, to what I call the transformer role, to what I call the catalyst role, what I call the navigator role. Okay, and you are now expected to be in the cockpit of the aircraft. Imagine the organization as an aircraft, right? You're not sitting on seat number 37.
Yeah.
You are in the cockpit. Let's say you are with the CEO, right? The CEO CFO partnership is, I think, a very, very, very interesting thing, and I've got a chapter in my book talking about that. But you are co-pilot. Absolutely. You are helping navigate the ship in the direction, advising your CEO, both on headwinds and on tailwinds, opportunities and threats and risks, right? Sometimes I feel that, the CFO role is like, I don't know whether you've done this rapids in the Rishikesh on a raft. We do this these management offsites in Michigan where you're on the raft, and there is this three rapids called three I think three little mice or three white mice or something like that. Three rapids
Three
which come in
hurdles, right?
one after the other, and if the CEO is sitting in the front, the CFO is at the back, watching the rapid coming, coordinating the activity during the rapid and getting out of it, right? So you are preparing. So you are now you've got these bursts of rapid action and some time to think.
Yep.
So transformation, I think, is a big role now. Imagine the digital transformation that's happening today, the amount of data that algorithms are churning out, moving away what I call this concept of SSAEO: simplification, standardization, automation, elimination, and outsourcing. That's squarely the transformation role of the CEO. You cannot keep adding, people and more people as the business grows.
Sure.
How do you simplify things? How do you automate things? How do you eliminate stuff? And how do you now kind of really have this power of digital and AI? Think of it as an ally, not as a threat. And the finance folks and the finance leaders of tomorrow have to be, they don't need to be tech geeks. They don't need to know the software, but they need to know what is available there, how it can relate and help them in their business and their work. So the future CFOs are going to be part professional experts of their domain, but that's less and less so, because that knowledge is going to be available either in your team, you don't need to be that, or in an app,
right,
or in a device. You need to be a leader, right? And there's a leadership role that you need to play, and there is this transformation role that you need to play. The business orientation has gone up significantly for the CFO, right? So that's the I think moving from stewardship to navigator, catalyst, transformer. That's a big change.
So for a new person thinking about getting into the finance role, potentially looking at being a CFO at some point, what is the mindset that you would say is non-negotiable?
See, look, I think every time I remind myself and my team on what is the job of the finance function, and I talked about it earlier, which is the shareholder lens. If there was an owner in the room, I would say the finance person have to have the owner lens, right? Sales may come in with something, marketing may come in with something, supply chain may come in with something, but finance can connect the dots.
Sure.
So it really boils down to value creation. So I would urge all, finance professionals in their early and mid careers to focus on value creation. There is a lot of focus typically associated with finance, which is cost, right? We are the cost champions and productivity and cost reduction. Of course, those things are not going to go away, but focus on where the value is going to come. And what I mean by value is value can come from growth. It's tremendous amount of opportunity out there. How do you tap into the opportunity?
Sure.
You don't need to wait for your sales team or your CEO to come with that idea. If you have a great idea for growth from which value can come, I think the CFO and the finance function can step in there, right? So having a value creation mindset and identifying value opportunities, I think great CFOs have this innate art of spotting value. And then the good thing about the CFO role is you see everything end to end, and you see it with data. So you have the power, and you are in a position to do what it takes to grab that value, grab that opportunity, right? And linking back to the transformation role that I was talking about today, it's not only where the organization is today. How are we going to get our business this year? No. How are we going to get what's going to happen next year? How is the retail landscape changing? How is our consumer landscape changing? What are the products for tomorrow, right? It's not only the R&D function's job. I think the CFOs will have to play a big role in that. So focus on value creation. And it's not only about cost. It's not only about productivity.
So the financial health of a company, essentially the CFO's role, it also has a huge implication on the overall people and culture of the company. As the CFO, how do you navigate and guide that?
Yeah, I think sometimes I feel that we are also the CHRO in a sense.
In that sense,
Because-
exactly.
and all leaders play that role, right? Because people are central to everything
Mhm.
that we do, right? And I feel that's such a powerful thing. Uh, so certain things are important. The most important thing is culture. Okay, and yes, how do you link company performance and company rewards? How do you make employees feel, okay, the company is doing well, what is in it for me,
Mhm.
right? Am I feeling well? Am I feeling good?
Mhm.
There are two aspects, Kapil. I think one aspect is, and for everybody out there, not always your efforts and what you do will give you the desired results. And particularly when you get into senior jobs, I've seen the toughest years have been the ones where the results are not great. The environment is tough. So as you go senior, your performance gets linked to team performance and ultimately to the organization's performance,
Mhm.
right? So in a tough year, you have to put in 5 times more effort, and maybe the financial rewards are going to be one half of what you normally get. I've also seen years where the going is great, everything is good, right? So the effort is not a lot, right? Maybe you
Mhm.
focus on something else. You focus on transformation.
Mhm.
You focus on sharpening your saw, right? Upskilling and things like that. So sometimes effort and reward is not related, right? Sometimes they are actually in polar directions, opposite
Polar
directions.
direction. Yep.
Having said that, the way to create a positive correlation and a positive thing is about celebrating success. I believe that's a big role that leaders need to play.
Mhm.
Financial rewards are one part of it. You tie performance to bonuses and compensation and promotion and increment percentages, blah, blah, blah. But life is beyond that.
Mhm.
How do you touch into the feeling of employees? And how do you, therefore, make people feel good even in tough situations? There's nothing stopping us from rewarding and
Mhm.
recognizing employees.
Mhm.
And there are many ways to do it. There are formal ways to do it in town halls, etc., etc. But I've seen the most powerful way: simple pat on the back.
Mhm.
When you see something good, recognize it and uh, spread the word around. So, celebrating success, celebrating the small wins is a very powerful way of creating that positivity in an organization.
Mhm.
The second thing is, and this is again back to culture. In PepsiCo, we've got a fantastic culture, which is really about nobody runs away with your credit. The
Mhm.
boss doesn't. You do a good thing, you get credit
It's
for the
yours.
good thing. I've also seen cultures where you do a good thing, somebody else runs away with the credit and makes him or her look good, right?
Mhm.
Whereas and this poor person is saying, "Oh God, I did that. Where is what's happening here, right?"
Mhm.
So again, it is connecting to how people feel, how you really bring out the best in others. So many ways to do it. I think culture, building that powerful culture of celebrating success, one team, one dream,
Mhm.
and we win together, we
Mhm.
succeed together.
Mhm.
That I think is a powerful theme of.
In fact, anecdotally, I once went to a PepsiCo office in New York,
Uh-huh.
and my cousin was doing an internship. He was living with me, so he took me there. And there was this big banner on a wall which said, "Friends don't let friends drink Coke." And for people around there, I talked to some of them. It was like such an associative part of their culture. I mean, I've myself worked in IBM. We called ourselves Big Blue. Some of the key leaders would come in and say, "If you cut me, you will probably find blue blood."
Yeah. I don't remember the taste of those products
Mhm.
for now almost 3 decades.
Mhm.
24 years, 25 years,
Yep.
right? So
So you talk about balance, and you many places talk about balance as ability to have it all. What
yeah,
does that all look like? So this is like a
yeah,
more personal question for
yeah.
you. What does that balance look for you in your life?
Look, I realized it late in life, as I said before, I had a love for words.
Hmm.
I got stuck with numbers,
Hmm.
but that was, and I loved what I do, and I still love what I do. But my true passion, my true sense of fulfillment, was probably something else,
Hmm.
which I hadn't tapped into and done justice to. So I took to writing when I was in Southeast Asia. Okay, just to see how I can progress that true passion of mine.
Sure.
And and one thing led to the other. I've written some fiction novels, and now I feel very, very good about the book. So if you have a will, there is a way. A lot of people ask me, how on earth are you finding time for this? In
Managing
fact,
it all.
my HR head looks at me very skeptically. He says, hey, is this guy really, are you really doing what you're supposed to do if you have so much time to write books and things like that, right? I hope she's not listening to the podcast, but maybe she is. But this is what organizations also want, because pursuing my passion allows me to bring my best self to work.
Yep. And the
Allows
skills that
me
you
to-
learn there are always, of course, going to be available for the company
when
to
I-
use everywhere.
Yeah, when I write, or I pursue my music, and with I'm musical instruments, or I'm writing a song, or I'm singing something, it's not about the end result. It's about the sheer pleasure of doing it, right? So this book is a labor of love for the last few years, and I hope people will benefit from it. But I enjoyed writing it. I enjoyed doing it, right? Whether it does well or it doesn't do well, that's not what's important to me. It's about fulfilling my passion, chasing that dream, making it happen. So I know people say you can't have it all. I think you can have it all if you really, put your mind to it.
Yep.
And there is no excuse for not pursuing your passions. See, life is like I believe it's like those Purana Din mein hamara used to have those jukeboxes with graphic equalizers, treble, bass, and all those things. If your only work and career and that's the only stimuli which drives you, then you're only pumping up the treble. Imagine how that sound will feel like, right?
Yep.
Also, if you nourish yourself through pursuing your passion, you are able to give in the workplace. And a leader's job is to give at a very high level. If you're not emotionally balanced yourself, and I see differences in leaders. You see a nourished, secure leader able to give because maybe he or she is getting his or her nourishment, not from promotions every day. At senior levels, you don't get that, or for job increases, or boss tells you great work. Sorry, that doesn't happen, right? So where are you getting it from?
Yep.
Some people get it from sports. Some people get it from meditation. Some people get it from yoga. Some people get it from music, writing, those kind of things. So I would again urge everybody who are in their career, chase your passions. There is no excuse. If I can, chase my passions, holding down a demanding job, so can you.
So, I run Frontlist, which is, a portal
Kapil, you are doing it, right?
within the publishing industry. I run a mental health business, and people ask me, how are these two connected? And I always say, if you take research books and academic books aside and put them aside, 90% of all authorship and 80% of all readership happens purely from a mental health standpoint. And that is where pursuing your passion and looking at what stimulates you is not just something that will help you do that particular passion, but it is what will become a fulfilling kind of an experience for every part, every stage, every moment of your life.
This connection with pursuing your passions and mental health, I think is a very powerful connection.
Absolutely.
Very, very powerful connection. I have seen a day where I've totally stressed out. And instead of popping a pill, I just sit down with my guitar and spend half an hour.
Yep.
By God, it's like
it's just done. Exactly.
Done.
Exactly.
You don't need a pill. You are like,
Exactly.
much calmer, much more, So the joke is, if I'm very, very stressed out, my wife will say, okay, why don't you, pick up an instrument, spend some time with then you come back.
Absolutely. And many times people don't realize that that correlation, but it is extremely powerful. In fact, in my mental health work, one of the things that we always say is the problem with the current approach to mental health that organizations look at is that they have a mold, and they want that mold of mental health to be fitted to everyone, while that is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Every individual,
and it's different for everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody has its own
unique, customized, personalized.
Absolutely. What works for you will not work for me.
Exactly.
It doesn't need to.
Exactly. And even for ones that are similar, there will be certain nuances. Why don't you provide people the ability and the capability to kind of hone in on that, to get mental wellness support, and that's really work that
Companies
I'm
are
doing.
doing that, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm trying to do with Soul Wellness.
Mm.
Provide people with the capability within an organizational framework, of course, because organizations need to drive a lot of that. But within that, every individual should have the ability to get unique, customized, personalized helps.
You're
And
absolutely right, and today organizations have hit on that insight, and
yep.
they are providing resources for
Mhm.
people to pursue their passions, and
Absolutely.
it's again different strokes for different folks. That same
Yep.
concept.
So you had earlier talked about Indian intellect, many times being an inhibitor. Um, can you talk about it? I mean, I agree with that, by the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
look, I mean, this somebody who's worked here, worked outside can, because everything life is relative, right? Unless
exactly.
you go out and see something else, you will not be able to relate to it. And look, I mean, I've seen places like Vietnam, Hong Kong, these places. Uh, People listen.
Mhm.
People uh, give each other space, and there is a, I would say, a discipline and a decorum of doing things, conducting a conversation.
Mhm.
In Vietnam, for example, I mean, the execution levels in the organization that I used to work with, the joint venture with Suntory, PepsiCo and Suntory, amazing, because the directions were clear and people followed those directions.
Mhm.
I think in India, with our intellect, if you put 10 people in a room and you float an idea, everybody will have a different point of
Yep.
view. We don't convene
Yep.
well because we believe our intellectual horsepower has to manifest itself differentially.
And
What is
that
my
has to
different
be
take
the
on this idea?
superiority for us.
Yeah. What is
Absolutely.
the so? But I, the same Indians who go out realize that hey, this environment is very different,
Mhm.
and I've got a powerful example of that in the book where that doesn't work, and you
Mhm.
quickly realize that people will start disowning you very quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, an interesting experience that I would share in this. Back in the day, I had started working in political election campaigning. So I was a digital
Wow.
marketing agency. So political election campaigning came very naturally because that was the time
Uh-huh.
when politics was getting on social media.
Uh-huh.
And I was the official social media agency for a few national parties at the time. I
Uh-huh.
remember this one time where I was sitting with a few people, and it's early days, 2012, 2013.
Uh-huh.
And I was sitting with this group of people, and they did not know what Twitter is. And acceptable. I mean, in politics, many people wouldn't have known at that time. So I explained the concept of Twitter, the concept of trending, because we were talking about trending
Uh-huh.
events
Mm.
and, kind of using them for promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I explained them what Twitter is, how does it work, what is microblogging, what is hashtags, this, that, and the other. And I remember we were working on a campaign, and I said, we will use this particular hashtag. And this guy looked at me and said, no, you should use this hashtag. This will work better. And I looked at him saying, okay. 10 minutes back, you did not know what Twitter is. And now I don't have a problem taking your suggestion. But that I think that incessant need for
Yeah.
us to prove our intellectual superiority in many cases becomes a hindrance and kind of does not let us be collaborative and certainly does not let us make
In both ways,
progress.
it's like agreeing
Hmm.
and agreeing to disagree.
Yep.
That's also okay. I've
Absolutely.
seen this concept of agree to disagree,
Absolutely.
where people professionally agree. Sorry, you got a thought.
Hmm.
I've got a thought. We don't agree, but we will go with your thought.
Yep. So
Right. Let's move ahead. So
one of the things that my management has always been told, whenever we talk about a decision, give whatever logic, whatever rational, disagree, say whatever you want to.
yeah,
Once the decision is made,
yeah,
it is not the decision of the one that floated the idea, it is the decision of this entire
yeah,
group.
yeah,
If you stand on the sidelines only to come 6 months later and say, see, I was right,
yeah,
I mean, let me assure you, you won't be here long.
yeah,
Do whatever. Once a decision is made,
yeah.
do whatever you can to participate and to make it successful.
No, you're absolutely right, and therefore my advice to my colleagues and friends in the corporate world is focus on karna kya hai. Focus on moving things ahead.
Absolutely.
Momentum is supremely important
Absolutely.
in the corporate world, right? It's not about whose idea is right. And again, back to that thing about failure. Let's not be insecure about taking the plunge, right?
So, your own personal resilience. I mean, you play music, you write. Of course, you have a corporate job that is hard, but you seem to really enjoy and make a lot out of it. Um, but in terms of resilience, what would be that one personal story that you can share with our audience that kind of bounced back, that brought you back on path?
I'm revealing my whole book here, but okay. I'll talk about Vietnam. Okay, and so one fine day I got a call from my boss. Here's this great opportunity in Vietnam, CFO of a joint venture between PepsiCo and Suntory, unique experience, Ho Chi Minh City. So, what the hell? So the first thing I did was pick up the atlas and figure out where
Very Sochi.
Vietnam. Yes, I know. Where on earth is Ho Chi Minh City? Okay, right. Some call it Saigon, some Ho Chi Minh City. And then I took on the offer, and I landed there. And of course, very different country, very different culture.
Especially back when you went, which was
Yes, and therefore the difference was quite high, right? And also, it wasn't like a full-fledged PepsiCo. It was actually a Suntory organization, and we were joint venture partners. So I was the one of the only PepsiCo seconded employees. Everybody was pretty much joint venture or Suntory. My CEO was a Suntory employee. So the degree of difference and adaptability was very high. Requirement was very high. And 1 week into the job, my IT head came, and IT used to report into finance at that time. I was the CFO, and said, "Boss, a local Vietnamese person guy," and he said, "The systems are down. There is some virus in the system." I said, "Yeah, let's go fix it. Find out what's wrong." Within 5 minutes, my CEO was in my room saying, "Everything is down. Sales is down. Not happening. When are you going to get it up?" So that was like a thunderbolt. And I felt like a victim. I've just come here. And my family haven't joined me because my son was giving his ICSC, so they would join a little later. I was trying to find my feet, staying in a rented accommodation, haven't even found my house in this new place, right? Without any comfort, relationships, people I know, etc., etc. This is the last thing that I wanted.
Sure.
I looked at the heavens and said, "God, why is this happening to me? Please, can you find a solution?" When times like this, you believe there's a superhuman force which can get you out of the crisis. So I called my IT head again and said, "What has happened? Have you had it before? Can you fix it?" He said, "Boss, this kind of a thing has not happened before, and I don't know what to do. You tell me. You are the experienced person."
Tech.
So I said, "Oh my God. All right, it couldn't be worse." So that night I couldn't sleep. And then something happened, towards early morning. I got a coffee, came back to work. Early was probably first person in the office. And I was sitting in my room and thinking. And then something happened in the head, which basically said, "Shit happens. This is the reality, right? And if nobody's going to fix it, you're the one." I don't know whether you've seen the Die Hard movies. I love that Bruce Willis Die Hard movies. There's this place where they talk about you are the person when there's nobody else. So that realization dawned that nobody's going to do anything about it unless you do something about it. And then things started moving from there. So I moved from, and then I called a few of my colleagues in Vietnam. A lot of the senior folks are Indians. And I realized, they're also in the same position. Their network is also down. Some friendly neighbor has planted a virus everywhere. Whatever. Those kind of things happen in Southeast Asia, by the way. And then lo and behold, the mental frame changed. Let's find a solution. Let's see what needs to be. Who gets up faster? Maybe it's an opportunity. If I can get my systems up faster, maybe it's a competitive advantage for me. The CEO will be happy.
Right.
Everybody is down. I'm not going to talk about exactly how we did it, but the big lesson for me is I felt like a victim the first day. I felt balance on the second day. Kuch karna hai, karna kya hai. That frame of mind. And then I felt, wow, positive. Dale Carnegie has written this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. There are these concepts of I am okay, you are okay. Human beings are always, I would say, while people would say the best is I am okay, you are okay. Actually, the best is you are not okay, I am okay. Okay.
People
I
love
know my
others.
HR colleagues
Yeah.
will not agree with me, but I think at a psychological level, we all come from animals, right? So
At a psychological level, for you to know that somebody else is in more pain than you is
it's
actually
not good. It's
reasonably
not good.
comforting.
It's not good, but as I said, we all come from animals, right? So,
That's the reality
and
of
then as
life.
soon as I realized, okay, somebody else is also not okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Last thing I want is I'm not okay, everybody else is
Yeah.
okay. That's not a good place. So that's a great lesson for me. I quote this lesson everywhere. I've got the story in the book. There are many, and this is just an example. Everybody has these moments when you feel like a victim.
In
How do you
fact,
move from victim to karna kya hai? You are the one. You have to do something about it. The faster you move there, the better it is for you. Some people keep mulling over it, keep sad, thinking, kya ho sakta tha. Yeah. If only Siraj could defend that ball and the ball didn't, ricochet off his bat to the wicket.
who
Kya
knows what could
hota?
have been.
What could have been? India would have won the series, yeah.
So on this point of Southeast Asia and viruses, uh, did you know back I think in 2005 when the famous I love you virus came out,
Yeah.
it was created by somebody from Philippines, and the person created it. It impacted nearly 20 million computers. It caused like a $30 billion overall global loss, and that person was not even jailed because at that point of time, creating malware in Philippines was not a crime. Anyway, on that note, let us shift gears. So, in this particular, in Truth Shots with Kapil, one of the things that we do is rapid fire round.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So, we'll ask a bunch of questions and whatever comes first to your head.
Okay. All right. This is the hot seat now, yeah.
Yes, this is the
You
hot
can't
seat
think
now.
too much.
Yes, let's start. Finance or fiction, which is tougher to master?
Fiction.
Kurkure or Pepsi, which was more fun to shape?
Pepsi, yahi hai, right choice, baby. Dil mange more.
A city you would go back to in a heartbeat?
Calcutta. My heart is always there.
A song that instantly lifts your mood?
Imagine by John Lennon.
One leadership cliche that you hate hearing?
Oh, there are so many. Sky is the limit.
3 words your colleagues would use for you?
Genuine, authentic, solution oriented, helpful, challenging, data driven.
Okay. Somebody was to ask for me a couple of words that would always come. One will be eccentric, and the second would be dressed in a shorts and t-shirt all day. Anyway, if not a CFO, what would you be?
Oh, I would be in a band. And
You do have a band.
We used to have when we were in college,
Right.
but no longer now. But yes, I mean, hopefully sometime down the line. That's a investment of time. It really needs serious commitment, etc. I want the music to be fun. That becomes serious. Then you are like, performing and there's expectations. I want to keep it light, enjoy it. It's the process of doing it rather than, the results and the output. But
A
maybe.
few years back, I knew this batch from ITVHU. And after 20 years of college, when they were all around,
A lot of people
these
are doing
5
this, by the
guys
way.
came back, restarted their band, and they planned such that 1 month in a year they will be together, they will practice, they will do like 3, 4, 5 different shows, and then go back to their jobs.
Yeah, the rock on concept, I think you're right. A lot of people are doing this, by the way. People who've not been able to pursue that music passion, wo keeda reh jata hai, that bug is there.
Yep.
It just needs a few people like that together, and then you have it.
And when I went there is when I realized most of the guys who were playing, and more importantly, most of the audience, they did their first gig, in Gurgaon only on a rooftop.
Yeah, Gurgaon, there are a lot of these places where you can do this.
I don't remember which building, but it was a rooftop restaurant. And I realized everybody that was there was a top shot. In late in the night, around midnight, there was this guy who was, almost shouting, "Arey yaar, koi to ghar chhod do." And I was leaving at the same time. I said, "Why don't I drop you? You are friend of one of these people," and I knew them very well. So I dropped him. I dropped him at, he was living in Aurelius. He was, I think, number two in Religare at that time.
Okay.
I was like, okay,
Okay.
that's interesting. And everybody that had come. But, maybe you should start look at doing something that.
No, but the interesting thing is when you are pursuing your passions, you don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
The identity is not your designation on a card.
Mhm.
The identity is your common love for music.
4 songs down.
Four songs down
The
is like
singers,
four single malts down. Then after that, everybody there's the lowest common denominator,
I was
right?
gonna say 4 songs down. This guy, one of the guys, he had a headband on, and
Yeah.
it was full rock on mood for it.
Correct.
Anyway, what is harder to manage, global markets or a teenager at home?
Well, my wife did most of the teenager management. I would say more global markets.
Okay. One career truth that people don't like to accept.
I already talked about brilliance is not going to be good enough. I think you need support and mentorship. You're not going to be able to do it alone.
Mhm.
You need champions for long-term career success. You need people who will be with you, be your voice of, give you that nudge, push, and also spread the word around.
So for a very long time, my WhatsApp status was, "It's lonely at the top. Choose your climb carefully."
Yeah, that's true.
The last one. Can you really have it all?
I think, in my experience, you can. It's again back to the graphic equalizer of life.
Mhm.
The definition of having it all is having a balanced equalizer, not trying to max volume output or treble or bass. If you can do that, if you can find your balance, I think then you can have it all.
Sure.
You also need to know when to stop.
Sure.
Some people don't know when to stop. There's Vietnamese guide, that didn't even go to school, I think, told us life is 4 phases. Too good, too bad. When you're a child, good phase, somebody's taking care of you, no responsibility, you have all the independence. Great, right? Second phase, not so good. You are chasing your career, you are insecure, you are trying to make money, and then you're trying to build your identity. And then the family comes along, and then the relationship, and then the children, and maybe the parents. The third is the best, where you've done all that, and then you're living for what truly drives happiness in life. And like this Harvard study which was done, the 3 things that are most important: long-term happiness, relationship, sense of purpose, the Japanese call it ikigai, and finding happiness in other happiness. So phase 3 and phase 4, all of us are going to get there. That's not a happy phase, right? And we see it in our next generation. Some people don't know when to stop phase 2 and go to phase 3.
Sure.
Some people go straight from 2 to 4.
Sure. Well, on that happy note, I think we've come to the end of this particular session. Thank you so much. It was a lovely experience talking about individuals, talking about employeeship, talking about team building, talking about leadership, then moving on and talking about role of a CFO and what needs to be done in a career in that, and then of course finally touching upon some of the personal nuggets from your life. Thank you so much for coming on Truth Shots with Kapil, sharing these nuggets. I'm sure the audience will have a fun time listening to it.
No, thank you very much. I mean, and I think it seems this is it doesn't seem like our first interaction. It
Absolutely.
feels so nice and comfortable, and I think the one thing that again for folks, with what's important is creating these networks, creating these relationships, right? Which again, no course or nothing can teach you. So.
Yep.
Wonderful to be here, and really appreciate, great forum, and I admire the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
You have so many facets. It's really admirable. I hope we can stay and connect.
We certainly will stay connected.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.